Good, buddy.
Aussies.
Oh, yes. And cleared. And cleared.
What is patriotism?
Fight. Love of Australia. Passion.
Patriotism is a front. Patriotism is the preservation of the species simplified, so that the masses of the people may link themselves up to it emotionally and spiritually.
Yes.
Every great concept, as complex as it may be, with its own economic policies, its own in-depth philosophies of life, must have as a front a simplistic idea which can stir people up and convince them to believe.
Oh, yes. I am the number one.
And this is what patriotism is.
Oh, yes.
The political party we are forming. I could stand here and present to you a list of 56 economic policies and talk to you about our new manifesto. These things will be available in due time. But you don't want to hear that. You want to believe in yourselves and each other. So that's what I'm giving to you now. Patriotism. Raise your flags up high if you believe in yourselves and this nation.
Yes.
Next weekend, we will be launching our official political party in Toowoomba on the 13th of February. The address we will release on our Facebook page shortly. We've also got Orange in New South Wales on February the 20th. And then, once again in Bendigo, Victoria, on Feb 27th.
Stop the mosque! I'll be there. There, Blair. Yes, Blair.
I never really thought much of Christianity when I was young. I was one of those impressive intellectuals who thought he was too smart for faith that you see these days coming out of schools. I can see that there's no imaginary man in the sky, and for that reason that makes me super intelligent, a very intelligent atheist. But then I realised that this country has a problem!
Yes! Yes!
The problem is inside the organs of influence, inside media,
Yes!
politics,
Yes!
education especially, moulding the minds of our children.
Yes! Brainwash!
And when I found out that this influence is hostile to Christianity, that was reason enough for me to admire it.
Yes! Be the man. Brainwasher.
Islam is just a symptom of this manipulation of our organs of influence.
Yes.
Every day you watch the television and what do you hear? You hear diversity and inclusion. Our so-called people's representatives parrot this nonsense to us on a daily basis.
Yeah.
But what does it actually mean? It's a front. Just like patriotism is our front. They have an emotional front too, for their own ideology, that they sell to people through emotional slogans, which don't mean anything.
Yes.
Inclusion, diversity, tolerance, vibrant communities. What does it mean? Nothing. These are subjective slogans designed to manipulate you, designed to suck you in, designed to make you want to demoralise your own nationality in the name of some abstract international theory.
Yes, brainwash. That's one brainwash us.
The idea behind this front is egalitarianism, international equality. And this may sound like a great thing. Why shouldn't we all have absolute equality? Are people equal?
No!
Any abstract theory of life which says everybody's the exact same is only an figment of the imagination of the people coming up with it. It might sound nice, and that's why it's so easily sold to the people. Yes, equality. Let's all be the same. Let's open the floodgates. Let's give away our nationality that our ancestors worked so hard for. It's only the concept of equality, the beautiful concept of absolute human sameness, that can allow this to happen. And so if you want to fight Islam, you have to hit it at the core. And the core is this egalitarian concept, fronted by diversity, inclusion. It installs into the hearts of those who believe it a revenge complex.
Revenge!
People who believe that all white people are responsible for all atrocity and repression in the past, and therefore must give up their nationality as payment for their atrocities. In the simplicity of this worldview lies its charm. It's so easy to understand. It puts a split right down the middle. You're either with these people or against them. You're either an anti-racist or a racist. For this reason, it's formed as a cult. Impossible to get out of. These people, like a clique, spread themselves throughout our society. They aim at positions in journalism, government, education, the three main organs of influence. And once they get in there, they burrow themselves in deep like ticks. Like an aggressive cancer, they spread themselves. These people must be expurgated from our schools, from our media, like venom from a snake bite, taken out. You cannot help them. You cannot change them. There was once a time in history where communists could be helped because the idea was thrust upon them during their midlives, when they were 30 or 40 years old. But when you force down the throats of children, 3 years old, 4 years old, 5 years old, diversity, inclusion, tolerance, what is the foundation of all education today? Equality, absolute equality no matter what. Don't discriminate. Don't recognise the differences that are actually the precondition for our existence. No, everyone has to be the same. We have to wait for all the slower children to catch up. By so doing, we hold down the best and create this mush of equality through which we can never advance ourselves as a nation. This, to many of you, is a new way of thinking I'm presenting to you. Many of you up until now will have thought to yourselves, yes, equality is a good thing. Why shouldn't people have equality? As I said, Christianity. If you believe yourself to be a Christian, and you also believe in the absolute equality of all people, will you show me a single passage in the Old Testament or New which even suggests equality? You will be hard-pressed to find one. Instead, you will find the opposite. By your merits, God will judge you. By what you do, that's what makes you who you are. You are not born with any rights or privileges. You earn them through your work. I appreciate you having me speak to you here today.
We love you, man.
This new political movement we are forming, nothing like it will have ever been formed before. It's the first of its kind. When in your lifetime have you witnessed men, working Australian men, such as me and the members of my movements, who have taken to the streets, spent all of our own money on this new movement, which is a movement of Australian people for Australian people? When have you seen it? We have fought. We have had the boldness to shake the foundations of this establishment. Every other political party says, oh, it's too provocative to hold street rallies and shut down businesses. It's too provocative. It's too dangerous. We want to be pacifists. We want to use money from big corporations and make deals with them and spread around how to vote cards. Brainwash people into thinking voting for us is the right thing to do. Instead of standing before the people and saying, my fellow Australians, we have a problem and a solution. If only you will hear me.
Yes. Oh, that's right. I'm with you.
I encourage you all to remember who you are.
Oh, yeah, be yourself.
Do not be deluded by subjective theories. Remember that you belong to a people, an exclusive people, strong and proud. And I will ask you now to lift your arms up in the air with me if you want to vow from this day forward to reclaim Australia for Australian people. My love goes out to all of you, and I'll speak to you again soon. Thank you.
Thank you.